So obviously, you know, I'm Anthony O'Neill, front-end developer at Artificial Labs. If you're on Twitter, you can add me on Twitter at Nibblins, or look at my code on GitHub at Amplify. So it's going to be a quick guide to CSS-in-JS and style components. Can everyone hear me okay, by the way? Yeah? Awesome. So this is Google Trends, and as you can see, CSS-in-JS as a search term is becoming more and more popular, and the little red thing there is style components. But it's not that new or crazy of a thing. Like back in the day, I'm sure most of us wrote something a bit weird like this with jQuery and inline CSS in RJS. But why for the recent increase? So actually, I've just realized I don't have my notes on here. That's a bit worrying. Screw it. So obviously we're in the so-called component age, so we spend most of our time using libraries and frameworks which abstract the view and allow us to sort of compose sort of different views as components. So obviously I'm sure you all know most of these. So why are developers moving towards or away from CSS and trying to, actually, you know what, sorry, I'm going to get my notes up here because this is a bad idea doing this talk without notes. Sorry about this. Use a separate display. Sweet, so if I do this, perfect, okay. Yeah, so global namespacing. Obviously is a bit of a no-no in general for both namings. So obviously you've got different methodologies like BEMS, SMACs, etc., which is good, but you know you may have to end up write a really long class name for like just a very simple state, like on a button. Dead code elimination can be a bit of a nightmare, especially with large CSS code bases. You can never really have full confidence in like deleting a bit of CSS code and not knowing whether it's actually broken something really random in the app, which is always a worry. So the positives of CSS-in-JS. So it's encapsulated styles. So with the components, it treats components as a design system. So you kind of create these stateless components with styles, and you sort of inject state into them. And if you build it in a certain way, you can actually build like a UI kit, which is pretty cool. You obviously get the full power of JS, so you can, functions, variables, object levels, etc. Leaner code, you only write what you need, and it's a lot easier to delete code because it's like co-located with your component logic. Which is pretty cool, and also easy to theme. So I'll show you an example later how easy it is to theme. So these are a bunch of CSS. Obviously, CSS and JS is just an approach, like a methodology. I could shout. Oh, it's back. Okay. Yeah, so these are a bunch of CSS and JS libraries for React, mostly. However, if you use Angular, Vue, or whatever, you'll probably find a CSS and JS alternative. So these are some things that are worth looking at if you are using CSS and JS. One is the benchmarks. So obviously, each library will have a trade-off. One will have a nicer API, one will have performance issues, etc. So that link there at the top ranks all of the different libraries based on performance. And then you've got CSS and JS techniques by someone called, I think it's Michel Bertoli, or he or she. Did like a really good talk, has written loads of things on CSS and JS, and has created this checklist which basically tells you what a certain library has and hasn't. So there might be something that you might not like, template literals or something. So yeah, it's a really good resource, highly recommend looking into it. So I'm actually going to do a bit of live coding. Hopefully it'll go well, so I'll probably make loads of spelling mistakes. But yeah, so I'm going to use style components. As you can see, it's got like 1.6 million downloads on NPM. Almost 10,000 stars, 142 contributors. Yeah, you can install it via npm or yarn if you want to be trendy. It's written by Max Stobia and Glenn Madden, was originally created by it. And why Style Components is a particular favorite of mine is it works out of the box with React, React Native, and Preact, which is like kind of cool. And Max and Glenn are quite active on Twitter. And if you search the names on YouTube, you'll find really good talks, probably much better talks than this. So yeah, let's try and do some live code and what could go wrong. So built-in display. Yeah, so. Okay, so can everyone see that okay? Yeah? So, right, so for the purpose of this talk and this live coding session, I have created an alternative to Facebook just for dogs. So this is a news feed of doggy. Yeah, so the different people comment on it. Well, different dogs. You've got this one here, more woof. This is Doggy Anonymous, so yeah, don't mess with them. Yeah, so it's missing a key component here, which is obviously the like button, because you want to like these things. So we're going to build that in Style Components, so I'll try and do this efficiently. Okay, so first you just declare a variable. So you do a like button, and then you call in styled, and this is where the API starts. So you can declare or call in different DOM nodes. So you can do like a div or a h1, but we're going to use a span for this one. And then we do the object literal. And this is where a lot of people are like, ugh, this is crazy. But just ride with it. I really like it. So we'll just do font size. And we'll just write plain CSS. Like, it's not like an object literal or anything like that. You just write it normal CSS. So yeah, 18 pixels, margin left, 10 pixels, and then we'll just put it in here. So like button, and then I'm going to call in a value props.likes, and then like button. Okay, so I'm going to save that and. Like magic, you see it there. So it's very, very simple. But I'm going to start adding some extra things. So we can just use plain sort of HTML like JSX, but you can just use that in there. So we'll add a span tag, and we'll make this bold. And what's really cool about this is you can just start using. So if you've used Sass, you can have like loads of different things like nesting and stuff like that, which is really well. I love it. Anyways, when it first came out, I just used it all the time. So yeah, we can make this bold, if I spell it correctly. Font weight, bold, and again like magic, and we'll add some functionality. So as that component, you can just add like any sort of like events, attribute or anything like that. So we'll do an onClick, and we'll pass in a function which allows us to like it. So we'll do toggle like, and we'll have to pass in props.id. Oh, what's going on here? It's not defined. Oh yeah, has to be on the props. Scary. Yeah, so we'll click on it, and like absolute magic, it just works. But obviously, it's not. You want it to actually turn a different color, so you can inject state into your button. So just do color, and this is where you do you can do like interpolation in template literals, which is a feature of ES6. In case you weren't aware, sorry, I was just presuming this may look really strange to you, like regardless of the CSS. Yeah, so you have these backticks, which are template literals, and if you use a sort of $sign and braces, you can just type in some logic in here, like just JavaScript. So you take the props, and then you do props.liked. So as you can see, I've named the property there. That could be anything. So that like thing there, you could name it whatever you want. And we'll just do a quick ternary. If props.liked, if true, we'll do it as blue. And if not, we'll do it as gray. And we'll like it again. it turns blue. So I've written this entire app using style components, which is basically just a news feed, and it iterates over an array of posts. And you may be able to see here that we've got props.theme.actions, etc., and we're referencing this object, which is a theme. And this is like a really interesting part of style components, which is the theme provider. So you just call it in. You can put it anywhere in your app, but I've put it at the root. And I've called in this Facebook style object here. So if I just find Facebook, it's just an object that you can reference, and it has values in there. And you call it in anywhere in the app, and it inherits that object anywhere, so long as it's a child of the theme provider. And you just call it in here. But so just to show you like an example of its power, I've made a rival to doggy Facebook and did a doggy Twitter. So if I actually press the right button, and there we go. I just hacked NASA. That's pretty badass, dog. So yeah, that's style components in a nutshell. There's actually a lot more to it. I highly recommend going to the style components documentation website. It actually lets you edit it with style components, like just live in the browser, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's everything. I'm done. Yeah, you can clap now.